Howdy friendos, I'm TheKrazyJason and you have entered my wacky emporium. Welcome to another weekly roundup of DVDs and Blu-rays that I have acquired and watched this week. Now every week I do this show. Fuck yeah, man. And I only talk about movies that I have purchased. That I purchased, that I own. I don't take into account all the movies that I've watched that I've checked out from the library, that I've gotten from Redbox, Netflix, Instant Watch, going to the theater, whatever. So my question to you is, do you want me to mix it up and put in some of the movies that I've watched on Netflix? I've watched so many great movies lately on Netflix, and great movies I've checked out from the library, and I'd love to share them, but I'm kind of uncertain about it. This format's still kind of an experimentation for me. There's certain movies that I think maybe I should just review separately because I spend a lot of time. A good example of that would be The Exorcist that I talked about a few weeks ago. And I think that took up like 15 minutes of the update. So, your feedback would be great. And even thinking about it now as I'm talking it out, if I were to add in Netflix, library, all that, I just think the running time of this format would go way over 30 minutes, which would be way too long. So I probably need to think about either doing a separate program or just doing individual reviews of movies that strike me if the mood strikes me to make a video and talk about it. The other thing I've been thinking about, it would be so nice if this were some sort of interactive thing. I would still want to do the regular just shoot it, me talking to the camera, but if this was some sort of interactive experience, like a webcam situation, I don't know. I don't know how that works, or, if any of you have any ideas about that, like, some sort of way to do an interactive thing, maybe once every couple of weeks or once a month, where we could all interact together. Not all of us, obviously, but some of us maybe. I don't know. I'm talking out my ass. Maybe I should just do a good old-fashioned Q&A. But it'd just be great to be able to have conversation with all you guys, because, it's cool, to meet all of you folks on the internet who share the same passions that I do, but not to be able to really talk with you. You know what I'm saying? Comments and all that, I love them. They're great. I appreciate the feedback, and I love to get, comment back. I especially love it when we get a conversation going in the comments. But I would love if there was some sort of format where we could have some sort of interactive video session, obviously beyond just Skype. I talk to people on Skype, and that's great, but I'm talking about, a lot of people, where I pretty much do this, but I can have instantaneous feedback. Anyway, just thoughts. I'm sure the program exists, or the website, or whatever, where I could do something similar to what I'm talking about. If you guys know, give me some feedback. As I said, I'm still experimenting with ideas about how to do this particular show, and other things. But enough babble time. This isn't my weekly babble. This is my weekly roundup. DVDs and Blu-rays, baby, films. So let's get started. First up, I have Dog Soldiers. It's the Steelbook edition from First Look Studios. They put out a lot of these low-budget movies and released them as steelbooks. This is a particularly nice steelbook. I like this one because the dog tags, the chain on the dog tags is pressed into the metal, so you can, has a nice feel to it. As to the movie itself, This is the first time I had seen it. I'm a fan of Neil Marshall, based solely on The Descent, which I thought was like in the top 5 horror movies of the past decade. I mean, I just thought it was fantastic. So I've been meaning to watch this movie for years and had just never gotten around to it. I really enjoyed it. He spent time setting up, making you care about the main characters, and then once he did that, the movie is off and running. And I mean, it's fast-paced. It's more in the tradition of like a Predator or Aliens type movie. More so, there are the horror aspects to it, but there's also a lot of action. There's it's the merging of the genres, as in like Predator. So really fun movie, but I have to say, unfortunately, as nice as the Steelbook looks, the quality on this DVD is shit. I mean, it is horrible. I don't know, they compressed the hell out of the movie. The blacks are terrible, almost non-existent. It's just kind of a bland, grayish tone, and again, the compression is just to the point to where it's distracting. So, I ask you, I actually don't even know if this exists on Blu-ray. I just assume it exists on Blu-ray. I actually didn't do the research on that. I assume it exists on Blu-ray. If it does, how does it look? Anyway, Dog Soldiers, Kevin McKidd, I'm a fan of his. Neil Marshall, I'm a fan of his. Didn't really care for Doomsday. I liked Doomsday, but it didn't have the depth that this and The Descent had. You know what I mean? With like the characters, Doomsday was just kind of a hodgepodge. It was fun, but nothing that I would watch again. I would watch this again on Blu-ray if you guys let me know that it's got a good image quality. Moving on. Tale as old as time. Song as old as rhyme. Beauty and the Beast. That's right. I'm getting like Shatner with the spoken versions of famous songs. Anyway, yeah, you guys know I picked this up if you watched the field trip from this past week. If you haven't, please head on over and check it out. But anyway, Target put Beauty and the Beast and Pinocchio and Snow White and maybe one other on sale for $17, I believe. Thought it was a good deal, and I don't know if you've noticed, but as they're replacing the Disney Blu-rays in the stores, they're now coming without slipcovers. So the slipcovers are disappearing, and I wanted to go ahead and get this one because I really like this nice shimmery Disney slipcover. I'll go ahead and show you the inside. It's a 3-disc combo pack. So it comes like that, and there's the DVD. DVD even has some artwork on it. Okay, the Blu-ray looks fantastic, and even more so than the image quality on this, the sound really impressed me. And I gotta say, Disney is just class. They are just classy. Even the menus on these Blu-rays are really cool, and on this one, it just goes on and on and on, and there's something new. I didn't watch the entire thing, but it was just, I don't know, even the menu is cool and classy, and I don't know. I just had to pause and say something about the Disney Blu-rays themselves and how the company really takes the time to, because they're proud of their stuff. They treat their catalog with respect, which is what I wish all of the studios would do. They do, but it's uneven. Some titles they just throw out there, like Leaving Las Vegas would be an example. And some others they give the royal treatment, like Taxi Driver. But Disney always gives the royal treatment to their titles, and I wish other studios would follow their lead. If you haven't seen Beauty and the Beast, it's, you would have to be into kind of musicals and animation, and to me, this is probably my favorite hand-drawn Disney movie. It came out in '91, I believe, and it was, you know, part of that early '90s renaissance of Disney animation that started, I guess, with The Little Mermaid, and then this, most especially, because it was nominated for an Academy Award, which was a big deal at the time. And then, of course, we had Aladdin and The Lion King, which I loved as well. So, yeah. By the way, Lion King is coming to Blu-ray in a few months or later this year or whatever. That's definitely high on my list. Next up, switching gears to Stanley Kubrick's Eyes Wide Shut, starring Tom Cruise and his then wife, Nicole Kidman, who, yes, does appear nude in this film. As far as the image quality on this Blu-ray, I was a little let down. It wasn't as good as The Shining. I think The Shining's great. It's kind of a middle-of-the-road transfer. I'd give it a solid 3 out of 5 stars. So it's good, but it's not excellent. This was Stanley Kubrick's last movie, and I think he actually died just days after, you know, it was finally done and there was an official screening or a private screening or whatever. You know, he died once the movie was complete. This is the first time that I've seen the unrated version without the CG, you know, black hooded dude standing in the orgy scene to cover up some of the sex acts that are going on in the orgy in this movie, if you know what I'm talking about. I was actually surprised. For years I had been wondering, are they ever going to release the movie without those CG characters in there? And I didn't realize that this, so I was pleasantly surprised. At the same time, it was really interesting to me because the sex that was going on was so, it was fake. It didn't look real to me. It looked like simulated sex. It didn't look, you know, if you've seen it, you know what I'm talking about. I don't know. I didn't see the need for the CG characters, but I remember at the time Kubrick had promised to Warner's that he would deliver, you know, an R-rated movie. And so I don't think he really had a problem inserting those CG characters, whatever. As far as the special features, let's see. It's a digitally remastered movie for the first time in North America, unrated international version. Channel 4 documentary, The Last Movie, Stanley Kubrick and Eyes Wide Shut. I watched that. It was pretty good. New featurette, Lost Kubrick, The Unfinished Films of Stanley Kubrick. I think I may be mistaken, but I think these are ported over from the DVD edition. I could be wrong, but I think they are, because I seem to remember watching that featurette on the DVD. And then there's an interview gallery with Tom Cruise, Nicole Kidman, and Steven Spielberg. No Harvey Keitel, though. That poor guy. You know, why does Harvey Keitel keep getting fired? Why was he always... He was fired from Apocalypse Now after a week. He was fired from this movie. There was some scandal at the time. Something involving him and Nicole Kidman. If any of you guys know specifically what happened or what really went down, why Harvey Keitel was fired from this film, please let me know, because I'm really curious. But this has the late great Sidney Pollack in it. Loved him as a character actor and loved him as a director. Sad that he died a few years ago. Sad that Stanley Kubrick died after making this film. After watching the Blu-ray, I have the same feeling about the movie that I did after seeing it for the first time, and that feeling is I don't really know what to think of it. I guess I like it because I could sit and watch it again. It's obviously not his best film. I would unfortunately have to rank it kind of low in his oeuvre, or whatever you want to call it, his pantheon of films. But still good. There's some scenes of greatness. I'm thinking of the last scene between Tom Cruise and Sidney Pollack. I thought that was just. I've always thought that was a great scene. But yeah, I don't really have a lot of words for this movie because it's hard for me. I don't quite know what to think. So moving on. On to the definitive classic, Sunset Boulevard, directed by Billy Wilder, who is probably my favorite director of the 40s and 50s. I mean, between Sunset Boulevard and Double Indemnity and The Lost Weekend as his dramas, and then you have like Some Like It Hot and The Apartment and those great comedies he made. He really put out some of the greatest films to come out of that era, and Sunset Boulevard is one of those. This is the Centennial Collection from Paramount. It's a 2-disc set, and you've got this. There are the 2 discs there. You've got this nice little booklet. I happen to get this at a really good, really good price, really good deal. Because I believe last time I checked, it was going for like $40 on Amazon. I don't know. These movies fluctuate in price like crazy, but transfer looks great. It's an almost flawless print, almost completely flawless. There were a few scenes, but I'm just being nitpicky. It looks great upscaled. I can only imagine how the Blu-ray will look, but this is fine for me. Has a wealth of special features on it. I'm just going to go through it real quick on disc 2. Sunset Boulevard, the beginning, the noir side of Sunset Boulevard by Joseph Wambaugh. He's a mystery writer. Sunset Boulevard becomes a classic. 2 sides of Miss Swanson, going into the life of Gloria Swanson. Stories of Sunset Boulevard, Mad About the Boy, A Portrait of William Holden, Recording Sunset Boulevard, The City of Sunset Boulevard, The Score of Sunset Boulevard, Behind the Gates, The Lot, Hollywood Location Map, Paramount in the 50s, a retrospective featurette, Edith Head, the Paramount Years featurette. Edith Head was the costume designer. She was considered the greatest costume designer of that era. And a theatrical trailer. Exhaustive almost. These I watched as much as I could before doing this, and I'm going to watch some more because it's really interesting. Especially Sunset Boulevard, the beginning, and Sunset Boulevard becomes a classic. I highly recommend that you watch those features if you get this, because it's so amazing how the actors' lives mirrored the characters in the film, and seemingly Billy Wilder's choice of casting the actors in this film, he seemed, it's like he had the knowledge of what these actors were going through in their personal lives and were able to, channel into the roles in the film. But this is one of those movies, as an example, that I should probably review on its own, apart from this DVD update, because I'm going to have to stop talking about it or I'm just going to run out of time. Suffice it to say, I recommend this movie as a blind watch to anyone who has even a passing interest in movies. This is truly one of the greatest movies that come out of that era. I don't have enough words for it. I could go on talking about the story and the actors, but I don't know, guys. Wacky Emporium seal of approval. This is just one of the greatest movies ever made. Alright, last, I've got a Woody Allen movie here, and that movie is Hollywood Ending. Also picked up on the field trip video that I just did. from Big Lots for $3. Now this was released in 2001, I believe. So yeah, it falls into this period that Woody Allen's been in for the past 13, 14 years now, of making mediocre to dreck films. There's some bright spots in there. Match Point, obviously, a lot of people talk about that. For me, it's Vicky Cristina Barcelona. That movie is the high point of Woody Allen's output of the past 10 years, I'd say. This movie is a good example of what's wrong with his movies lately. The recycled jokes are so obvious. They're still funny, they're still amusing, but you gotta wonder, because the guy never stops. He never stops to contemplate what he's doing. He constantly works. He always puts a film out, one every year. It's his own form of self-therapy. He makes these movies for himself. He truly does. And he really doesn't care as much as people might think he does about his, the quality of his films. I mean, I know he does. And don't get me wrong, don't think I'm bashing Woody Allen, because Woody Allen is absolutely one of my favorite directors, and Manhattan stands as in my top 5 favorite films of all time and will always be there. I just love Woody Allen movies, but I keep it real. I'm not going to sit here and just, like for instance, I picked up Whatever Works on Blu-ray and sold it because I don't care about having it in my collection. It's just, and it's a shame. It's Woody Allen meets, I can't conjure the name. What's the guy from Curb Your Enthusiasm and created Seinfeld? Good Lord, people, what's wrong with me? Anyway, Hollywood ending. He plays a director who loses, he has a psychosomatic blindness. He goes blind in the middle of filming, and his ex-wife, Tia Leone, has to step in and sort of help him through. Everybody, they're trying to cover it up, and it's just, the movie is all over the place, full of plot holes, again, recycled jokes, but it's entertaining. I mean, it's not it's something easy to watch. It's something that I can lay in bed and go to sleep to, or it's not depressing, and it's Woody Allen. I didn't care for the cinematography. That's another thing that really disappoints me, is that the man used to sit around and wait for the skies to go gray, to shoot. In this movie, I just, it juxtaposed New York and California, but it didn't do it in a very good way, because New York also appeared sunny, as well as California. Anyway, I'm going off the track on the lighting, but yeah, I'm talking about Hollywood ending here. It's an okay movie. I guess if you're a big Woody Allen fan, $3 at Big Lots is not a bad buy at all. And certainly heads and tails better than Whatever Works. Alright, well, I'm going to leave it there this week, folks. And again, let me know. I know I've asked you a lot of questions just because I'm kind of experimenting with this format, and but any input you guys can give me would be great. I definitely appreciate you watching. I appreciate all of your comments. And until next week, you've been in my Wacky Emporium.